Shevuot Daf Amud Aleph. Today's daf sponsored by Rabbi Mori Mr. Rivendain in honor of his granddaughter Carolyn. Gufa. The Brayta says earlier. "Minayin she'eno hayav ela sheyesh b'yedi'ah b'tchila v'yedi'ah b'sof ve'hilim b'ntayim." How do we know that one is hayab to bring a korban oleh v'yored, the korban that goes up or down, when it's talking about a case that we're not sure if the guy forgot before and after. And he knew before and after, but he forgot in between. Tell me where if the pasuk says v'nei elam, he forgot. V'nei elam twice. Shnei pamim b'divrei Rekiah, according to Rekiah. B'mei enu tzarich, you don't need that. Harei hu omer v'nei elam echad yisheda. Rida said that it said that it was hidden, which means he already knew. V'hu yada, then it says he knew. Harei kan shteyot, therefore we say he knew twice. Em kemat kumar v'nei elam. So how, according to him, why does it v'nei elam twice? Even if you forgot that it was Tameh, or even if you forgot that it was Midash. One more. Now that we quoted it, now we're going to continue. When it says that the fact that the guy forgot, it must be that he knew in the first place. The verse is my mashma. Who says? Maybe he never knew. Marava. Because it doesn't say that it was completely concealed from him. It just say it was hidden. Therefore, it must be that he initially knew. That's the case regarding the sotah. The pasuk says, it was suspected from the eyes. Sorry, it was hidden from the eyes of the husband regarding a woman who's suspecting to have adultery. Does that mean that initially he knew that she was with this other mystery man? He knew the waters won't work. But Hannah says, "V'nika ha'ish me'avon va'isha ha'it ena ba'ona." B'zman she'isha menuke me'avon ha'mayim, but kino t'ishto. Ena she'menuka me'avon ha'mayim t'ishto. Right, so we know that it only works if the husband also doesn't have any sin with him, and therefore he can't have just known that this was happening and continue to live with her. But two Gabriel also the pasuk says it. Sounds like someone didn't know it beforehand in this concept. In the concept of we mentioned everything in the angels and the heavens and the creatures, they know about God. Does that mean they don't even know, they can't even fully understand the depth of God or the Torah? Does that mean so it was hidden? So that means at one point they did know? That doesn't make sense. People don't know the full scope of it. So this concept of the word ben elam doesn't mean that there was a previous knowledge. Rabbi says, Kasavar Rabbi Yudah Nasi holds, Yidiat bet Rabosh Mahayidiyah. A person has a general knowledge of Tumah. Since they're a little child, every child at one point in their life learned about Tumah. And therefore they know the concept of Tumah, and therefore it can't be that someone is completely ignorant. Now, obviously, we're not talking about a case of Tinok Shinishbar, a child who grew up in a Christian home, for example, because that whole thing doesn't apply. But in general, a regular person has basic knowledge of Tumah. It says that a person does not know initially, but he knows at the end. But people should have an automatic knowledge in the beginning. He says, yes, it's true. He then brings in our case that it is possible for someone who was captured and brought and raised by Gentiles. Okay? Next part of the Mishnah. Yetziot Shabbat Shtaim Shin Arba, we mentioned two main parts of Shabbat, taking stuff out of Shabbat, which are equal to four. Tonight the Mishnah says, Yetziot Shabbat Shtaim Shin Arba B'fnim. The two that equals four are all referring to bringing stuff in from public to private. Right? So therefore, for example, removal from the same place, bringing it back in, new place, or putting down something in the new place. All these types of things are transfers. How come in the other Mishnah, and sorry, in our Mishnah over here, we said 2 equals 4, and over there, by Shabbat, it says 2 equals 4 regarding bringing in. And there's 2, there's 4 also taking out. Sounds like we're completely making it into 8. The Gemara says, Hatam de Ika Shabbat too. Since by Masech Shabbat, they're talking about Hilchot Shabbat, understandably, Tene Avot, we mention general cases, the Avot, the primary cases, and the Todot, the secondary cases. Achad Lavika Shabbat, but here we're talking about Shevuot. We don't want to go into crazy details. Avot Tanim Todot Tanim, we mentioned only the primary, not the secondary. Avot Maninu, what's the primary cases? Yetziot, taking out. Yetziot Arti Havam, but if it's only Avot, then only 2 types of Avot. taking in and out of public to private. Maybe you're trying, sometimes you'll be patur and sometimes you'll be chayav for a korban. But we also mentioned cases of tzarat. Just like over there, they all are talking about actual tzarat. So over here, we're talking about actual isurim that would need a korban. So how do you say that it can't be just talking about primary cases? Mar says, no, Shabbat mentioned more cases because it mentions hayav cases and patur cases. Hacha Masechet Shevuot, Hayuva Tani, Uftulo Tani, only Hayav cases, but not Patur cases. Because we're not getting into the Hilchot Shabbat. Now, Hayuva Ma'aninu, what's the cases of liability in our case? Yitziot, taking out. Again, same question before. Should be only two, not four. Yeah, there is two. Two taking out, right? Two taking out by a guy from Rishut Yahid to taking out by a person in Rabin. So yeah, this is what he answers. And the Gemara says, okay, fine, question. By Yitziot Tani, you can't tell me the two cases they're bringing in. The Mishnah clearly says Yitziot, taking out only. Yeah, entering is also taking out. It depends which angle you're looking at it. You're taking it out one place, which means you're bringing it in. How do you know this? The time Mishnah says clearly, someone takes out from one domain to the next, korban hatat. Like even if you're bringing in from one place to the next, we still call it taking out. Gemara says not a good proof. Maybe it's talking about a case where you're specifically taking it out from private to public, and that's not considered entering it. You don't enter something into public property; it goes out to public property. Gemara says, you should have said that in this case, it would have specifically mentioned transferring from private to public. Why did it keep it vague from one domain to the next? Even from public to private, we still see that it's considered taking out, and therefore even entering it is considered taking out. Gemara says, how come we need to call it taking it out then? Gemara says, because in general, when you're taking stuff out, it's called Yetziat Shabbat. And that's the halacha, the main isur of Shabbat carrying, it's called Yetziyah. That's why I mentioned it. Okay, Amaravina. We also bring proof from our Mishnah in Shabbat. 10 Mishnahs over there. Yetziot Shabbat, Shtaim Shen Arba B'Fnim, Ushtaim Shen Arba B'Achutz, V'Kal Kameferish Chnasa. Right, we said over there that there's two that equals four taking out, two four coming in, and it's also considered, and they still call it called taking it in, even though technically it's taking it out. So we see that as long as it's being transferred from private to from one domain to the next, it's still called Yetziot. That's just the name of the Isur. And therefore, even if you're technically bringing it in, it's still considered Yetziah because it's a transfer from domain to the next. It's probably not good proof. Rav Amar says, no, simple answer. The Mishnah says, Yetziot means domains. Rishiot, Shabbat, Shtaim. And regarding to Shabbat, there are two types of Rishiot. It says, and therefore it's not proof. Okay, you have to answer it much simpler. We kind of explained it doesn't mean Yitziot, it means Rishiot, domains, the transfer of domains. Okay, good. Next part of Mishnah. All right, stay with me in this one. The appearances of Tzarat, two that are four. All right, we're smack in the middle of this parasha. Masorah talks about Tzarat. So there's two types of Tzarat that are equals four. Baheret Azak Keshedek. The top one is bright white Baheret, which is like snow. Shaniya, secondary to that, is La Kesida Echal, is like a little off-white line that we use in the Bet HaMikdash, Nehechal. Se'et Kesener Levan, a Se'et's like white wool. Shaniya La, and the secondary to that is Kikram Besa, like the membrane of the egg. It's like a off-white also. All right, so the snow white, wool white, lime white, and egg white. And I don't mean the egg white, I mean the egg membrane white. Okay. Who taught this concept of these appearances of these things? Sounds like he put them in order. This one's above that one, and this one's above that one. Right? He put them in order, which means he put them in order of color. And therefore, the whitest ones will be snow, then wool, lime, egg. Because that's the way that they could combine with each other. They only could combine one with the next, meaning if there's two of them together, it combines into equating to a sizable size of a gris, which is the minimum size it's like a bean size of a spot. That's the only way it's considered asur, and therefore considered Sarat rather, and therefore, if it's two different colors, they only can combine if it's one shade next to the next. You can't jump from shade 1 to shade 4, but otherwise they can combine 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Imkan, that's the case. Tiharta sid hechal miliseret. If that's the case, you stop the lime color, the level 3 one, to combine with any other spots. Why? Bahadi manasve, how can you combine it? Lesarafe mahadem veheret. Maybe you should combine it with a baheret, right? Which is technically level 2. But the problem is, ika se'ed afdifne. But white wool, um, sorry, sorry, yeah. So iga se'ed datifne. You also have a se'et, which is wool white, which is more intense than the lime white. The serfeba had the se'et. Then what can you combine? Light the lime, the level 3 with the wool. Lav toda adidehi. It's not the same toda, right? The se'et toda is the egg. So the lime can't level 3 can't combine with level 2 because that's the wool. And wool, the toda, is the egg membrane. And therefore doesn't combine. So lime can't do wool, and it can't reach snow either. That's level 1. It's impossible. One can't connect to 2, and it can't reach number 3 in essence. Okay, yeah, if that's the case, kurum besanami. So also the level 4, but hadi manasve, you can't combine it. You can't combine it with this at level 1 because lime is in front of it. Maybe you can combine it with an egg with lime, la barmina. You also can't combine it. It doesn't equal each other. It's a different todah. So Haiman, the Gemara says 1 second, you can't compare that. I can understand the lime white. You can't fit because of the case of the egg membrane. No problem. The afagav the se'et. Even though egg is 2 levels below se'et, rahmana amar, right? So even though it's 3 to 1, the problem is the Torah says itself, villa se'et, villa sapahat. Sapahat tifdal se'et, we see it's secondary to that, therefore it's an exception to the rule. 1, 3 to go combine with number 1. It's since it's secondary to that one, it combines no problem, 3 to 1. Even though it's much different degree in whiteness. The problem with the lime white is a question. It's a fix according to the Bi'akiva. Because according to the Bi'akiva, the lime white can't combine with the Baheret, which is 2 away. And the Torah doesn't say that it's the Todah. Must be our Mishnah doesn't fit the Bi'akiva for the first reason. Not the second. The second one we knocked out. Okay, we'll stop here. See you tomorrow.